Hot take.
Hello, welcome to Coalition of the Sane and another hot take. It is really busy. And late last night, when I saw that the Rules Committee actually voted to approve the rules for debate for the foreign aid bill, gosh, I'm doing this real time. So 26.38 billion for Israel, 60.84 billion for Ukraine, and 8.12 billion for allies in the Indo-Pacific, read Taiwan and South China Sea protection. When I looked at that last night and saw the 9-3 vote, pretty shocking to see, as somebody who's a former GOP congressman, that the Democrats actually aligned with other members in the GOP committee to pass the rules. Now, this is a procedural vote most of the time, and it usually goes this way. The majority votes for the rules, the minority votes against the rules. That's it. It's pretty simple. What you saw last night on Thursday night to advance the foreign aid package in those three tranches is absolutely historic. It is so incredibly rare. And I want to talk about courage and compromise today. Now, again, when I do these hot takes, I'm looking at it real time. So if you see me looking over to the left or to the right, what I'm seeing is I have all my data up. And I do like data and I like facts. But when we talk about who voted for and who voted against the rules, I think it's very important to see what's going on in Congress right now. And for the first time, maybe a scintilla of hope when you're looking at what the Democrats did yesterday. Now, some people might say, hey, the Republicans on the Rules Committee and the majority who voted for the rules package could get a primary challenge because of the three who voted against it, which are hardline far right individuals. So when you look at Chip Roy, when you look at Ralph Norman, when you look at Thomas Massey, they're in pretty safe districts. Now, before I get started, sort of another bottom line up front, which I'd like to say is that you can actually sometimes tell how they're going to vote based on the PVI, the political voting index in each district. I know I've mentioned this before. So when you look at Massey, when you look at Norman, when you look at Roy, you can actually see that this helps them in their district. And that should scare the hell out of you because the base is frothing based on whatever they hear from Mar-a-Lago. It also goes back to their own polling and their own fundraising, which I've mentioned before. If you've seen me in interviews in the past, people want to, or people and pundits want to go into all these bizarre, comprehensive, ideas about what happened. Really goes back to polling, fundraising, and crosstabs. And also what Trump wants you to do if you're in the Republican Party right now, because the GOP has no real plank except for the fact that they need to listen to Trump. But the courage and compromise, I think, does come from the Democrats. So as I switch over on my tab here, I want to talk about the people that actually voted for it. Minority members were Jim McGovern, Mary Gay Scanlon, Joe Neguse, and Teresa Fernandez. Now, I have to tell you, they might have their own issues. Especially when you look at the Israel-Hamas problem, right, in the conflict that's going there. These four individuals who voted for the rules package, you have to look at the PVI in their district also. Are they in more swing districts? Are they in more D districts? Why would they vote for this? Now, this might become shocking to some of you. Hope you're ready for this. They voted for it because they think it's best for the country. That's why they did it. Now, sometimes it's like, wow, this is too simple. This is way too simple. But you're talking about four Democrats who crossed the aisle. They crossed the aisle to vote for a rules package in a very rare and historic vote to support Michael Burgess, who's the committee chair. Michael Burgess is no shrinking violet. He is not a moderate. Either is Guy Reschenthaler, who's the deputy whip. I know Guy very, very well. He came into my class, and I supported him then. He seemed to be a very reasonable human being. And right now, even though the fact that Guy voted against the electors, which is insane, this vote actually surprised me. You also have Michelle Fishbach. You have Aaron Hawken. You have Nicholas Langworthy. And you have Austin Scott, who I know pretty damn well. And people say, well, they might have had some courage too because they could get primary. No, there's no courage. They made their bed. This is how they should vote in the majority because the speaker advanced the bill. This is a rules vote. This isn't a vote on the floor. The real courage and compromise at this point comes from the Democrats. I am truly, truly impressed that they would cross the aisle in the rules vote based on their own districts. Now, they could be in very safe districts so they could feel safe, but I'd be highly, highly skeptical that all four think they must be completely safe for the remainder of their careers or whatever they have in Congress. But my goodness, when you're talking about the amount of aid we're looking at, when you're talking about Ukraine, we're talking about Israel, we're talking about our Asian partners, we're talking about this is not a small bill. You're looking at what, 95, 98 billion. We're closing in on that $100 billion mark for aid that the taxpayers are going to actually pay for. I mean, that's what taxpayers do. Courage and compromise. That is what we saw yesterday. And again, I know it's a rules bill. I know that it seems mundane, but what you saw last night on a Thursday night was not mundane. Now, it could also cause really a motion to vacate for Speaker Johnson sooner rather than later. I think the hard right is going to bow up, but I do wonder where Trump is on this. And I think you're going to see in the next few days he's going through trial, and you might see him actually start to comment on what's going on with these specific aid packages. Now, everybody's wondering what the issue is. Listen, you have conspiracy theorists in Congress, and the rejection of the Ukraine aid package in the rules vote by Massey, Norman, and Roy really comes down to one thing: Donald Trump. And it also comes down back to their own, I would say, far right fringe beliefs on the Ukraine Russia issue, that somehow Ukrainians had fought for Russia invading Ukraine, which is absolutely ludicrous. And the ridiculous conspiracy theories about Zelensky or about Nazis in Ukraine and all those type of things that come from a far right mouth breathing conspiratorial press and a far right conspiratorial population that seems to ingest this stuff with glee. Now you have this bizarre symbiotic relationship between Republican leaders, whether it's congressional representatives or it's committee members, it's state leaders, state delegates, state senators, all these individuals with the base who push this nonsense of the stolen election so hard for fundraising in 2020. Well, now the base is controlling what these elected officials do. And the base wants to punish those individuals who stole the election. And they want to punish anybody who's against President Trump. Roy, Norman, and Massey, as much as they might say they don't like Trump, they have their own belief system sometimes, but they're so far right that they're willing to do something that's absolutely opposite to what is in the best interest of the United States. Lastly, and I've said this before, they're trying to tie border security to these foreign aid bills. Well, that's absolutely ludicrous because border security was already addressed in the bipartisan bill, which Trump said to knock down and everybody voted against. It's that simple. Again, simple can be scarier than complex. This all comes down to Democrats. And I think the courage that they showed in this rule vote shows that they're ready to govern as adults. They also understand that there's an unserious element of the Republican Party that's absolutely dangerous to the United States. As somebody who was formerly GOP, I can say on this one, they're right. Thanks. And hope you have a great day. And for the Coalition of the Sane, let's get to work.